Good evening. Good evening, everybody watching us live now from Nepal and all the South Asian countries. We are here today with our special guest on this live platform, Miss Whitney Cohen from Saginaw Valley State University in Michigan, USA. And many of the students have already been studying there from Nepal, and it's been a very popular name among our Nepalese students. And now we have more information to hear from our guest, Ms. Whitney Cohen, who is the international recruiter for Saginaw Valley State University, Saginaw, Michigan, USA. And I personally have visited the university a couple of times with the invitation of Whitney and her team. It is always a pleasure to work with them as the approved agent. And the great news, I've been hearing from our students, past students who have just graduated, that they are sending me thank you notes, and they are happy that some are now the nurses, some are engineers, some are the career career people with the business and all the computer science, all these careers in the United States and abroad. So that makes us proud. Thanks for all this opportunity, Ms. Cohen and your team, and welcome to the show today.
Thank you so much, Pawan, for the introduction. I greatly appreciate it. As Pawan mentioned, my name is Whitney Cohen, and I am the International Student Recruiter here at Saginaw Valley State University in Michigan. I am working from home today, so you might even see my cat running around at some point. But yes, otherwise I'm usually in the office on campus because we are having in-person classes available for our students at SVSU at the moment.
Absolutely. Thanks, Whitney, for all the support that you are giving us, and especially to our students, and helping our parents make their decision in sending their kids in the United States and choosing the best universities. And of course, Saginaw Valley has been a great place to be. Thanks for that. And dear viewers, please feel free to ask us any questions you may have during the session. Miss Whitney are gonna do a little presentation about the university, the programs that have great values to your career, they are available at the campus, and also the tuition structure, their admission requirement, and the process, how do you get to the university, before that, of course, getting the admission letter called I-20, and scheduling your interview with the embassy in Nepal. By the way, the good news is the embassy in Nepal is open now, so we can apply now and receive our I-20s as usual. And of course, we can schedule the interviews as soon as it is available in Nepal itself. I know many of our students who went to India for January intake, but of course, this time I am hopeful, everybody of us, that you would be able to get the interview schedules from Nepal embassy itself, the visa section. All right, Whitney, you want to talk something about the university before the slide?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm actually, I'll share the screen now, so that way students can see a picture of the university while I'm talking about the university. So Absolutely. Just a moment here while I get that all set up.
All right. In the meantime, I'll be playing our promo for a minute or so, and then I think that by then it will have everything ready. All right.
Sure. Sounds.
All right, that was our promo about our services, and that was like back in 2020 February when we had our exhibition for US and Canada at the Best Hotel. We had a good number of students visiting us, and of course, we want to continue our services to all the students who visited then and then now, and of course, like we would love to. Whitney, I've got your screen here, so I'm gonna share here for the viewers today. Dear
Okay.
viewers, we're gonna hear a lot about the university itself, and you are free to ask any question. You're very welcome on that. And of course, we're gonna know more about the university, the location, the ranking, and everything, on the programs, tuition, entry requirements, like the TOEFL, IELTS requirement, or academic as well. Scholarship. The best part is they got a scholarship as well, and application. By when you should make application, and yeah, other trouble. Bans if there are any, but the good news is US hasn't banned the travel to international students, unless there are some certain countries, but for Nepal they are allowing. Yes, Whitney?
That's correct. Thanks, Bowen. Is it showing my screen correctly with the
Absolutely.
first slide with the university, the lake?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, just want to make sure. This is an awesome platform. I haven't used it before, but it's really
Great.
great
Yeah,
so
yeah.
far.
We're gonna
Thanks
love
for
it.
getting it all set up. So as Pawan was mentioning, Saginaw Valley State University is located in Michigan, which is in the Midwestern region of the United States. And the United States is, of course, allowing international students to enter the US. We've had international students joining us from all over the world during this past fall semester in August and even this January semester. And we're looking forward to having more students join us too. It's March right now, so we're not going to talk too much about the requirements to enter the US because the fall semester in August is quite a few months away. So at the moment, a COVID test is required, and we'll just wait and see what those requirements are in the August semester. So for right now, I'm going to focus on these items that you see listed here on the screen. So I'll give you a brief introduction to Saginaw Valley State University and explain a bit more about the university itself and what the campus is like. We'll briefly go over some of the different majors and programs that we offer, and then we'll talk about what it's like to be a student here at SVSU. So whether you decide to live on campus or off campus, what it's like to take part in our different student clubs and sports and things like that. And then we will also go over the admissions requirements. So all of the documents that are needed to apply to SVSU, which of course the Bradford team can help you to put together and make sure that your file is all correct. And then we'll go over any additional requirements, such as for our English language proficiency requirement. We'll talk about whether the SAT or the ACT is required or not. It's optional, but we'll talk about that more a little bit later on. And then we'll, of course, go over scholarships and costs. Because generally, when I used to visit Nepal in person, when I asked if students were interested in scholarships, everybody raised their hand. So I'm really excited to tell you about the great scholarships that we have available for students from Nepal and from South Asia in general as well, since I know students are probably joining from a lot of different countries. So at Saginaw Valley State University, and Pawan, of course, please feel free to jump in at any time if you'd like to add anything or any personal insight. But at SVSU, we are a public university. In the United States, there are both public and private universities, and SVSU is a public university, which means that we have a really nice big campus and a lot of facilities available for our students. We have about 8,000 students in total, including about 300 international students from nearly 40 countries. And Nepal is in our top 5 countries represented on campus. Bangladesh is up there as well, India. So these are some really well-represented countries on campus at SVSU that are from South Asia. Our average class size for undergraduate programs is about 24 students, whereas for our graduate programs, it's even smaller, about 16 students for an average graduate class. And I'll tell you a bit more about the different programs that we have available for each of these a little bit later on in the presentation. And our classes at SVSU are always taught by professors or by staff members. They're not taught by graduate teaching assistants. And the majority of our professors do have a PhD or the highest degree that's available in their field. And our location itself is here in the Great Lakes Bay region, which you'll see is right here. So this is the kind of the Midwestern part of the United States right here. We're located in the northern part of the Midwest. So this is Michigan. Just for reference, California, my home state, is over here on the West Coast.
Not my
And where Pawan is joining us from over here on the East Coast is New York. Of course, everybody's heard of New York. So Michigan is right here in the middle. And I'll show you on the next slide. If you zoom in, there's all this white space right here. All this white space is actually Canada, of course. And then if we go here, the white space here, it's actually water. So Michigan is surrounded, not entirely, but on quite a lot of its borders by water, by the Great Lakes. So this is Lake Huron right here. So SVSU, even though it's very far away from the ocean, is only about 20 minutes away from a lake, Lake Huron. And this lake is so massive that you can't see the other side of it. You would think it's an ocean, but it's fresh water, not salt water. There's no sharks. It's great. So we do have a beach not too far from campus. And then as far as our location goes, so the university is located right here in the very middle part of Michigan. We are about 2 hours north of Detroit. We're about 4 to 5 hours east of Chicago, and we're about 5 to 6 hours west of Toronto. So once the border reopens for tourism, Toronto is a great city to go and visit. Chicago is an excellent place to visit. And then we're only about 2 hours or an hour, 45 minutes driving from Detroit. So we're in a really good location with several big cities nearby. However, our campus itself is in a really nice, quiet suburban area. So it's a really nice place for you to get to focus on your studies. I'm going to remove the sound from this video because the song is a little bit annoying, so I'll just give some narration instead. So this is SVSU's campus right here, which we've had, Pawan has visited several times, so we're always happy to have him on campus to visit with his students. Everything that you see here on the screen, this is all SVSU's campus. So these are our buildings where there are different student activities held. These are some of our dormitories for students that decide to live on campus. So our campus itself is about 800 acres, which sounds quite large, and it is large, but the buildings of our campus are actually only on a small corner of that property. So it's a really nicely constructed and laid out campus facility so that you can walk everywhere on campus. Some universities in the United States are quite large, and you might need to take a shuttle bus to get from one side of campus to the other. But everything is walking distance on our campus at SVSU. Some students have a bike or a skateboard, and if they're running late for class, they might take their bike or their skateboard. These are some more of our dormitories that are right on campus as well.
Beautiful.
And yeah, they're great. And all of our dorms are actually set up like apartments. So you would have your own kitchen and your own bathroom just for you and your roommates when you're in your dormitory on campus. And these are just some more views of the university here. And most of the buildings on campus at SVSU are actually connected. So if you can imagine kind of like a U shape, you can get from one side of campus all the way to the other and still be staying indoors. There's just 2 buildings that are not connected to the main part of campus. So you just run outside really quickly if it's really hot or really cold to get to those other buildings. And this is our fitness center right here. So, oh, and there's actually a brand new building that was just built right here. And it's new since the last time you were on campus, Pawan.
Very well. So that looks beautiful. Wow. I can't wait to come visit next time. Huh?
Yeah. So the College of Business actually is right here now. There's a brand new building right there. And construction was finished on it, I believe it was February last year in 2020. So right before the pandemic started, we finished.
Is that like, just next to the science building, like, the nursing and all?
No. It's in another building. So it's attached to the same building where like our bookstore is and where we hold orientation and things like that. So it's really centrally located. So for any students that are interested in business and finance and management and accounting and all of those great programs, we have a brand new College of Business building for you. So in addition to our business programs, which are housed in the College of Business and Management, we also have a few other colleges as well. And so each college has kind of a different specialty area. So the programs or the majors related to each of those specialty areas are housed within that college. So for example, in the College of Arts and Behavioral Sciences, if you're interested in studying, let's say, political science or international studies, psychology, sociology, theater, graphic design, those programs are all going to be within the College of Arts and Behavioral Sciences. If you're interested in business, management, international business, supply chain management, finance, marketing, those will all be within the College of Business and Management. If you're interested in becoming a teacher or a future educator, your program would be within the College of Education. And then for anyone who's interested in becoming a nurse, so studying nursing or pre-medicine or physical therapy, occupational therapy, athletic training, those programs are within the College of Health and Human Services. And then within our College of Science, Engineering, and Technology is where all of our students who study mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, engineering technology management, computer science, computer information systems, chemistry, biology, all of those great programs. That's where their
Yeah.
programs are
Yeah.
housed, just within the College of Science, Engineering, and Technology.
Yeah, you have got like covered all the programs in every field, and we have students for every of these colleges. But I would see mostly the students, the girls are interested about the nursing program, and they have been encouraging more students, more of their family friends come and join Saginaw Valley. We often get that feedback, so it's great. And of course, science and technology like STEM programs, and your business all well accredited, top accreditation, so that makes it better. Thanks.
Yeah, my pleasure. And this is just a screenshot of our website. So if you're wanting to find more information about any of our majors in particular, you'll be welcome to go to our website. It's svsu.edu/academic programs. And so you can take a look at our undergraduate or bachelor's degree programs, or our graduate master's degree programs. And I didn't mention them, but for our graduate programs, we have a few programs that are offered in person on campus at the university, such as our MBA program, Master's in Business Administration. We also have a computer science and information systems master's degree program. And then we also have our nursing program, a Master of Science in Nursing program that's available on campus too, as well as social work and a teaching program. So a few options for in-person for our graduate programs. And we have a couple of programs that are online only for graduate studies as well. And then, so accreditations, I think just for time purposes, I'm probably going to skip over accreditations, but an accreditation essentially is a distinction, or it's like a certification that a university as a whole earns, or perhaps an individual program. So SVSU as a whole is accredited by the Higher Learning Commission. So that means that all of our degrees would be recognized for students when they go back home to their country, wherever it is around the world, because SVSU is an accredited university. It's a recognized university. We also have some additional accreditations for some of our programs, such as the AACSB International Accreditation for our business programs. And this is an accreditation or a distinction that less than 5% of colleges of business in the entire world have. So it's not just for the United States, but all over the world, less than 5% of business schools have this accreditation, and SVSU does. And we also have an accreditation for our engineering programs. That's ABET accreditation. And then quite a few additional accreditations for our other programs. So nursing, for example, occupational therapy, our English language program, music, chemistry. So quite a few different accreditations available for our programs here at SVSU. And these are some additional photos of our facilities at SVSU. And the vast majority of our campus, well over 70%, has been either newly constructed or renovated within the past 15 years. So it's a very up-to-date campus. We always want to have the best facilities available for our students. In all of our buildings on campus, in each of the buildings, rather, we have computer labs or little computer kind of corners where you would have access to desktop computers or printers so that you can do your work anywhere on campus. There's also, of course, free Wi-Fi all throughout campus. So if you have your own laptop, you can pretty much sit down anywhere on campus and log in to work on classwork between classes or after classes or anything like that. So you've got everything that you need for your classes right on campus, including in our library is where a lot of our academic resources are available. So if you're researching for a paper, of course, you can go to the library and utilize their physical resources like books and things like that, or you can use their online resources because there's so many different resources available for you online. If you're doing research for a paper or a project, you can access a lot of resources. Our Writing Center is offering virtual tutoring. It's free, totally free for international and American students. If you want a little bit of extra help with a paper that you're working on, you can meet with a writing tutor online and they'll help you with your paper for free.
I like that part of support. It's just self-learning, but you have, friends or tutors to support you, for your academic writing or something else. So, it's quite a support for international students.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's our Writing Center. And then we also have free tutoring available in any other subject that's offered on campus too. And so all of those tutoring resources are kind of run through facilities that are housed in the library. But of course, we have lots of online opportunities available for students to receive tutoring these days. So we're quite flexible since so many of our students are taking partly online classes.
Hmm.
This is the former entrance to where our College of Business and Management is located, but now there's an entire building through these doors right here. So I do like to show this photo though, because we often meet for some of our orientation activities in this building here. So sometimes for international students, you're walking through these doors for the very first time when you are coming to SVSU for the very first time. Rather. So it's kind of a nice thing to showcase. And this is Pioneer Hall, which is where our College of Science, Engineering, and Technology has a lot of its programs. So if you're interested in mechanical engineering, for example, you'd be taking a number of your classes in this building right here. And this is the College of Health and Human Services. So for all of our future nurses, they take a lot of their classes for nursing here in this building. It's where we have our nursing labs. And a nursing lab is very different from, say, a chemistry lab, for example. So in our nursing labs, when you walk in, you look around and you might think that you're in a hospital because you're going to see the beds, the machines, all of the equipment that you would find in a typical American hospital or health facility. And so that's where our students practice before they actually go out into the real world and work or intern at local health facilities or hospitals as well. And these are some additional photos of some student events. This is all pre-COVID, of course, but we usually have Holi in the winter semester, well, when it starts to warm up in the sort of springtime. And then these are some of our additional types of classroom facilities. And then this is probably at an American football game as well. And as far as our housing goes, most of our international students from South Asia choose to live off campus, but you are welcome to live on campus if you prefer. We have amazing on-campus housing at SVSU. It's actually voted #1 in the state of Michigan, and we're always top ranked in the country as well for on-campus housing. And so this is what some of our dormitories look like on the inside. They're all set up like apartments. So you would have either a shared or a private bedroom, and then a kitchen and a bathroom just for you and your roommates. So I didn't attend SVSU. I went to a different university, but the dormitories that I had at my university were essentially just a large bedroom. There was no kitchen. You had to share your bathroom with everybody else who lived on the floor in that dormitory. So our dormitories at SVSU are basically apartments. So it's like you have your own little apartment or flat. And again, the kitchen and the bathroom is just for you and your other roommates or flatmates.
Yeah, I've checked one of your resident halls, and then I personally loved it. Like it's like hotel rooms, so it's lovely and not so expensive. It's quite affordable, and I would say like you say that, not just based, price wise, it's quite affordable.
And when you live on campus, everything is included. So the furniture is already there for you. The electricity, the water, the heat, the Wi-Fi, the air conditioning, that's all included in the price that you pay on campus. When you live off campus, there are a lot of affordable off-campus housing options as well, but generally you have to pay extra. So there's your rent, and then separate from that, you usually have to pay for water, for electricity, for Wi-Fi, for everything. So, and usually you have to buy furniture. So there's a lot of advantages to living on campus, but students, international students, do have the option to choose whether to live on campus or off campus based off of what works best for their budget. And these are some of the things that students can do at SVSU. These are pre-pandemic pictures, of course. So at the moment, our student clubs and organizations are allowed to have limited in-person meetings, which is nice because at last semester it was only online meetings, but we are kind of starting to transition to more in-person activities on campus, which is really exciting for our students. So we are starting to have more in-person type meetings. Our International Student Club usually meets on Tuesday evening. So they had one of their meetings last night, but we have a ton of other international student clubs, including the South Asian Student Association, SASA. So that's a great organization for our students to join. And we have some more academic organizations as well. So if you're a math major, there's a math club. If you're an engineering major, there's an engineering club. So whatever major you're in, there is a club that you can join if you would like, so that you can meet other students from your major who are maybe a couple years ahead of you that you might not have classes with, but it's really good for you to get to meet them so you can kind of learn more of what to expect from your particular program later on. And then some of the student clubs and organizations are less serious. They're a bit more for fun. So like the International Student Club, for example, is a great social organization. If you really like Harry Potter, there's a club called Dumbledore's Army. If you're into zombie movies and video games, there's the Zombie Defense Council. So there's certainly some organizations that are more serious, like Model United Nations, for example, and then some more kind of fun and social organizations too. So there's a little bit of something for everybody. And these are all great leadership opportunities as well. because each of these clubs has its own president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, probably a publicist. There's lots of different leadership opportunities and positions from these student clubs and organizations. We also have opportunities to study abroad, and we are hoping to get our study abroad programs going again next year. We were paused for this year, of course, but we are planning to have some more study abroad options available starting next year. So it is possible to study abroad for either a semester, maybe an academic year, or even a short-term program or a summer. And we had just one of the first students that comes to mind was an international student from Nepal, and he did a short-term study abroad program in the Czech Republic through one of our business programs. So there are opportunities to study abroad for short periods as well, if you are interested in that.
Great.
And then we have sports available on campus. Generally, our students will participate in club or intramural sports, which are the kind of less competitive level. So if you really like cricket, for example, or you're interested in learning how to play volleyball, or let's see, maybe flag football or dodgeball or some other kind of funny sports that maybe you haven't tried before. There are lots of opportunities on campus.
I believe, like Whitney, I think you got like that cricket piece back in 2015 or 16 when you saw many international students coming from South Asia, like including Nepal, and there was a big demand for that. And then I personally enjoyed watching them during my visit. One of my visits.
Oh, good. I'm glad you got to see that. Yeah. So our cricket pitch, is maybe 5 or 6 years old, something like that. So it's right there on the front of campus. Those big lakes that you saw from the very first slide are just right over here by this tree. So it's in a really nice spot on campus.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then now, for the more business side of the presentation, these are our undergraduate admissions requirements. And the Bradford team is very familiar with SVSU's application process, and they could walk you through all of this. But just for your information, when applying to SVSU, we do have a very straightforward online application. We will take a look at your results from Nepal, and we will convert them to an American grade point average. So you don't have to worry about the grade point average conversion. We also ask for evidence of financial support, which is a bank statement. And this is actually a requirement from the US government, and you have to discuss your finances during your visa interview as well. But we ask for the bank statement as part of your application file. And then a copy of your passport, of course, and your transcripts from high school. And if you're a transfer student, we would want your transcripts from your university as well. And then also an English translation if they happen to not be in English yet. And the SAT or the ACT are not required. They've always been optional for international students at SVSU, even before the pandemic. And we understand now with the pandemic, of course, it's very difficult to find testing dates for exams like these. So it's still optional, just like it's always been for international students. If you happen to be able to take the SAT or the ACT, that's great. It can help you to be considered for 2 academic scholarships instead of just 1. And I'll get to scholarships in just a few slides. Sure. And for, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. I said, we love to see the scholarship things, I would say.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And for the English language requirement for undergraduate students, we're looking for either a 5.5 IELTS at least or a 61 TOEFL. We also accept the PTE and ITEP too. We're not able to accept Duolingo at this time, but we do have quite a few other options for our international students.
Yeah, and I would say that academic requirement of 2.0 out of 4 US GPA, which is equivalent to 50% or 55 in Nepal. It could be depending on the program, and the English requirement 5.5 overall score in IELTS or PTE 45 or TOEFL 61. I think it's very moderate. I mean, in Nepal's moderate score is 6 in IELTS or 71 in TOEFL, and even 53 in PTE. But I think with this even lower than that, average score, I think you will get many students interested about the programs, and that's one good reason about joining SBSU. Thanks for highlighting it here.
Sure, no problem. And then if an undergraduate applicant, if you've taken an A level in English or I think it's a general English or general paper A level, we can use that instead of the IELTS or the TOEFL as long as you've gotten a C or better. So that's another option too.
All right, great.
Yeah. And then for our graduate students, we have a few more requirements for graduate students. We have a completed application, of course, a little bit higher grade point average required for graduate applications, of course. Then there's also evidence of financial support, so that bank statement, passport, and your university transcripts. And then a few additional requirements for our graduate students are a one-page personal statement, a few recommendations, usually from professors or a boss or a supervisor, and then also a copy of your current resume or CV. Now, the GRE or the GMAT, let's talk about the GRE first. The GRE is not required for any of our programs. That's always been the case. However, for our MBA program, we do have some flexibility because the GMAT or SVSU's admission to the MBA exam is required. So if most of our students decide not to take the GMAT before they apply, and instead they take our admission to the MBA exam instead because it's offered for free, and you can take it online or on campus at SVSU, and you simply need to pass it before the end of your first semester in the MBA program. So that's what most students choose to do rather than paying for the GMAT. And for the graduate English language requirements, they are slightly higher. So it's a 79 or a 92 TOEFL, and then a 6.5 or 7.0 IELTS. And again, we accept the PTE and ITAP. We're not able to accept Duolingo at this time. And then for our MBA program and the Computer Science and Information Systems program, it's the lower requirement, a 79 TOEFL or a 6.5 IELTS. Whereas for our nursing master's degree program, it's the higher requirements. It's either a 7.0 TOEFL, 7.0 IELTS or a 92 TOEFL. So some of our programs have the lower requirement and some of them have the higher requirement. And this is a screenshot of what the first page of our application actually looks like. Students are welcome to work with Bradford to assist them with their application, but this is what the first page looks like. And we always waive the application fee for students who are working with our partners like Bradford. So anybody who's attending the presentation today would be more than qualified to receive an application fee waiver code if you decide to apply to SVSU, and that will save you almost $100 US. Our application fee is just under $100 at the moment.
That's cool. Thank you.
Sure. And now for scholarships, of course. When applying to SVSU, all students are automatically considered for all of our academic scholarships. So they do not have to submit any extra scholarship applications, no extra scholarship essays or anything like that to be considered. Simply by applying to SVSU, students are automatically considered for academic scholarships. The first scholarship is our Red and White Award. This is the largest scholarship offered by SVSU. And over the course of a 4-year bachelor's degree, it's worth approximately $50,000 US in tuition discounts. So it's going to reduce your tuition cost almost by half, actually. It's nearly a 50% tuition reduction. So to qualify for this scholarship, undergraduate students need to have at least a 2.5 GPA, and country of citizenship is taken into consideration, but all countries in South Asia are eligible, so that's not a problem. And you would need to have the necessary IELTS or TOEFL score, and the SAT or the ACT is not required for this scholarship. The second scholarship that our students, if any students from Bangladesh, if they're on the call today watching this, if you happen to be an alumni from the YES program, you would be eligible for the YES and Flex Alumni Scholarship, but that's not available for all countries. The last scholarship is the President's International Scholarship. This is open to students from all countries. It ranges from $1,000 all the way up to $2,500 per year. The GPA requirement is a bit higher, so students would need to have at least a 3.0 GPA. And again, we'll convert your grades from whichever country your high school is located in. And we do require an SAT or ACT score for this scholarship. Students would need to have at least a 900 on the SAT or an 18 on the ACT. And then the higher the SAT score and the GPA are, the higher the scholarship will be. So a student who's on the lower end with about a 900 SAT would most likely receive about $1,000 for their scholarship. A student who has a higher SAT score would get a higher award up to a maximum of about $2,500. This is a renewable scholarship, and so is the Red and White Award. So that means that you can keep both of these scholarships every year until you graduate, as long as you are maintaining your grades. So it's always very important to ask when applying to universities whether the scholarships are renewable, meaning that you can receive them again each year, or if they're just a one-time, 1-year scholarship. And so these awards, of course, are renewable at SVSU, and they're automatically renewed as long as you're maintaining your grades. So if you receive either of these scholarships from SVSU and you're otherwise qualified for admission, it would be noted on your admission letter that you're receiving each of these scholarships and how much they're worth. So what amount you have received for both of these scholarships.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the costs to attend SVSU. So these are the costs that would show on your I-20, which is the document that you need to apply for your student visa. So we're going to look just to focus right now on the first two columns right here. So for an undergraduate student who does not receive a scholarship, their tuition cost is about $21,000 per year. But for an undergraduate student who does receive a scholarship, the Red and White Award, their tuition is actually reduced, again, almost by half to a little bit under $11,000 per year. So that's nearly a 50% tuition scholarship where your tuition is reduced. All of the other costs remain the same because our scholarships are all academic awards, meaning that they're only applied towards your tuition. We don't have any scholarships available for housing and meals and things like that. So the costs for housing, meals, health insurance, and then miscellaneous items like textbooks, school supplies, maybe things that you need for your dormitory, like pillows and blankets and towels and pots and pans. That's included in the miscellaneous section. And that brings you to a total cost of just under $26,000 per year. But again, this is the cost as if you were to live on campus at the university and purchase a full meal plan. So if you decide to live on campus, but in one of the less expensive housing options, because this is the more expensive housing option, or if you choose to cook your own meals instead of having a meal plan, you can actually reduce your total cost quite easily by a few $1,000s. So this is the most kind of expensive cost you could expect if you're living on campus with the full meal plan and taking this amount of classes. So you can certainly have a lower cost than this. And I work with all of our new incoming students to help them kind of figure out what their family's budget is so they can make the right housing selections for them. But most of our students would pay less than this just based off of their housing and their meal costs. And the graduate costs are quite similar, except that tuition starts at a few $1,000s more. So the total cost for a graduate student who's receiving our Red and White Award is actually about $28,000 compared to about $26,000 for an undergraduate student. Undergraduate programs are typically about 4 years, and graduate programs are generally about 2 years. And we do have an office on campus called Career Services to help our students who would like to apply for a part-time on-campus job at the university, or who would like to apply for internships, or have just get some experience doing mock interviews and working on their resume and their CV and things like that. So there's a lot of great free resources available through the Career Services office on campus at SVSU. For students who are interested in working part-time, they can work, international students, as part of your student visa, you're allowed to work part-time on campus at the university. You are not allowed to work off campus during your first year. You can apply for a program called CPT after your first year that would allow you to work off campus, but that's not always granted, and you have to work with the international office to apply for that program. Otherwise, you're only allowed to work part-time on campus at the university. Part-time means up to 20 hours per week when classes are in session, or you can work up to 40 hours per week, which is full-time, during holiday breaks, such as summer break, which is almost 4 months long, winter break, which is almost a month long, spring break, and some of the short breaks like that. But generally, you're only allowed to work part-time on campus at the university, and you will not be able to earn enough money from your part-time on-campus job to pay for all of your expenses. So don't plan on that. If you go to your visa interview and they ask you how you're going to pay for your studies and you say, no problem, I will have an on-campus job, that's not going to help you. Part-time on-campus job should be seen as more of like a bonus so that you don't have to ask your parents for pocket money for your smaller expenses. You can pay easily for your textbooks, your school supplies, maybe your groceries and things like that if you are hired for an on-campus job, but you won't be able to pay for all of your expenses with an on-campus job. And you would be earning Michigan minimum wage, which is currently a little bit over $9 per hour, which sounds like a lot when you convert it to rupees, for example. Yeah. But when you see the tuition costs and you do the math, you'll see that it's not enough to pay for all of your expenses. And we also can't guarantee that you would be hired for an on-campus job because it's up to the department that's doing the hiring. So that's why I always want students to prepare and work with their family and make sure that they can cover all of their expenses, even if you aren't hired for a part-time on-campus job. And these restrictions are in place throughout the United States. These aren't SVSU rules. These are rules from the government for international students. So regardless of which university you attend, yep, these are the same rules. Mm-hmm. And this is just a screenshot of our website. So you can see some of our new students from a couple of years ago and some of the activities and events that our students have done on campus when they join us.
Hmm.
And this is Jason. He's one of our international students from the Philippines. Here, I am going to turn off the volume from this one here, but Jason is standing in front of the main administration building on campus in front of one of our ponds. So this is essentially what campus looks like right now. So it's wintertime, but there's not really any snow on the ground. It's still cold. And so what Jason is explaining is that he's from a warm country, the Philippines, but he still has fun during the winter time. So he and his friends actually go tubing. So if you've heard of sledding, this is actually tubing. So you're sitting in this inflatable kind of like a raft. It's an inner tube, and you're going down a hill really fast, and it's very fun. So he and his friends were tubing, and that's what it looks like from his perspective. So there are fun things that you can do in the wintertime, even when it's cold and snowy.
Right.
And these are our important dates and deadlines for the upcoming academic year. We are accepting applications for the fall, the August 2021 semester up until July 1st. And our application deadlines are the same every year. So even if you are not in your final year of school right now, you still have a couple of years to go, our deadlines are the same every year. So it's always 1st of July for the fall semester. And then our orientation starts on 25th of August and classes start on 30th of August. And for our January intake, the winter semester 2022, our application deadline is 1st of November. Orientation starts on 5th of January, and then classes start on 10th of January 2022. So these are our next two intakes that are available for the coming academic year, but the deadlines will likely be the same for future academic years if you're not quite ready to apply yet. And this is my contact information, but of course you can work with Pawan and the Bradford team to stay in contact also. And then do we have time just to play this quick little video? It's about a minute.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great. So this will show another side of SVSU that you haven't really gotten yet.
Nice.
So, yep. And if you could let me know if the sound works too.
Sure.
Did the sound go?
No, it didn't.
Oh, okay. Here, I'll start it over and try again. So let me stop sharing, and then I will reshare to make sure that we get that done correctly. Share screen, share audio.
Yeah, what are you organizing? Yeah, I can see that. Dear viewers, please feel free to drop your questions here. I see a couple of questions, and right after this, we're gonna address to those questions as well. So let's enjoy this video for now.
Perfect. Okay, so this should be working now.
Not yet. No, it's not working. The sound not coming.
What was that? Was it working or?
No, sound was not coming.
It wasn't? Oh, darn. Okay, I even selected share audio. That's okay. I'll just let it play the video right now, and I'll explain what's going on.
Yeah,
so right now, these are some different scenes from SVSU, and essentially what the narration is saying is things like we dive, we research, we present, we explore, we drive. So there's all of these different facets, different parts to being an SVSU student. So we score, we create, we plant, we drum roll. So there's a lot of different aspects to being an SVSU student. You're not just a student who's sitting in the classroom and going home to do your homework. There's a lot of other parts to being a university student, to being an SVSU student. So it's not just studying in your classes. We want you to be a well-rounded student. We want you to take part in sports if you like sports, to join student clubs, to do community service and volunteer work, to do internships, to study abroad if that's of interest to you. We just want you to do as much as you can on campus at SVSU. And that's what we're trying to showcase here in this little commercial, is that there's a lot that you can do on campus at SVSU. And it also helps you see some of our students too. So that's why I like to share this video. So I'm just going to leave it here on our deadlines, or actually I'll stop sharing actually so we can go back to the regular screen. But thanks so much for the opportunity to let me share those slides with all your students.
Yeah, it was great and a very wonderful slide. Thanks for saying. And I feel like, I'm there in Michigan at the moment because I've been there, like even in the cold, in the snow, and I know, how it really, feels like, and how nice it is to be there at all seasons, and getting the feedbacks from the students and all, and that always keeps us more excited about giving you more and more students I mean, helping the students planning to study in the U.S. and choosing the best programs, and always like trying to reach out to us to help them for better choice. And I think we've been able to, and because of this great university that we got. Thank you, and thank you, Saginaw Valley State. Uh, Definitely, there's so many things that we have to note from your presentation today, like the programs. The second thing would be the tuition structure. Yet there are very heavy scholarship offer, like red and white being the the biggest one, and of course most of our students were getting a scholarship in the past, and I believe in the future also we'll have students who would meet the criteria for that. And also your GPA for admission 2.0 out of 4 like US GPA scale, which means over 55 percentage I would say from Nepal, or the GPA right now comes somewhat similar to that, but I would say 2.3 or so higher from Nepal if you are talking about it in the undergrad admissions. And the IELTS score, just 5.5 overall, or 61 in TOEFL or PTE 45. That means that's quite easy for many of our students to score. And I would always recommend our students to take the test. So at least you'll prepare yourself, coming to a new country, new place, and be able to communicate with people here. Other stuff would be the easy process about admission, like all the scanned documents, mostly all those documents, including the bank documents showing your savings at the bank, and all other academic plus the recommendation or what any work experience you have if you are applying to the graduate programs. I think that makes quite easier in the process of getting the admission, as well as all the documentation part for the visa, including the I-20. So I think we are representing a very good university this way to our students coming from Nepal.
Thank you. Thanks. My pleasure. And I see some of the questions that have come in as well. I've kind of been catching up on them. I see one came through from Mama.
Oh yeah.
So I hope that answered.
Mama.
Yeah, I hope that got answered when I went over the graduate requirements. I think it was just a bit later on in the presentation. There are some additional requirements for programs like our Master of Science in Nursing and then Occupational Therapy as well. So those are ones that it's easier to discuss individually if a student does have any questions about those programs, because of course, for the Master of Science in Nursing, you have to already have your nursing license and things like that. That's just too many requirements to include on the PowerPoint presentation. So for anybody who's interested in those particular programs, just reach out to me and we can certainly go over those additional requirements individually. And I see a student who has asked whether she can apply for a bachelor's degree of nursing with a diploma in nursing, and what is the criteria for admission. So yes. So you can certainly apply to SVSU if you already have your nursing diploma. You would be applying as an RN to BSN student, a registered nurse to Bachelor of Science in Nursing student. That's actually a shorter program. It doesn't take a full 4 years. So if you are interested in applying for that program, since you're already a nurse here in Nepal, we do have a way for you to apply, and then it wouldn't be a full 4-year program. So that would certainly be a great option for you. And I do encourage you to reach out to Bradford staff so they can help you with that application process. We've had quite a lot of students from Nepal who are already nurses here at home and then come to SVSU.
Yeah, absolutely, Sophia. Thanks. And I have next question by Suraj, but a couple of questions. So I want to take the best one. So or whichever you think quite more relevant. Whitney.
Sure. I actually really like the next question because it's not one that I get asked about too much. So about interactions with professors. So the student is asking, what types of interactions would undergraduate students have with tenured professors, or will they largely be confined to lecture halls? So I really love this question. So during a normal academic year, like say before the pandemic, you would be having all of your classes in person, right? So we only have our professors or staff members teaching their classes. So you'd be right there in the same room with your professors. We only have a couple of large auditoriums on classes where our classes are held, and they're never full either. So if we have a large auditorium that has maybe 100 seats, you're probably going to have maybe 40 of those seats filled. We do not have any large classes where there are going to be 100 or 200 students like you would find at some other very large universities. Our average class size for undergrad classes is, again, about 24 students. In some of your more introductory first-year classes, you might have like 30 or 40 students in that class, but they're certainly going to get smaller as you go later on into your more specific major classes as well. But you can interact as much as you like with your professors. Many of your classes at SVSU will have participation required as your grade. So if you're having an in-person class, that means that if you don't, contribute to the conversation, you don't, raise your hand and ask questions and things like that, your grade is actually going to go down. So in many classes, participation is required. It's a little bit different if you're taking an online or a hybrid class. Your participation might be more in the form of doing a post in your online classes message board or responding to your fellow students' posts and things like that. But the grading criteria is clearly laid out by all of the professors in your syllabus. So your syllabus is a document that you receive either digitally or in person at the beginning of your class, and it clearly states the grading criteria and what percentage of your grade comes from exams, what percentage comes from papers, what percentage comes from participation and attendance. So that's all clearly laid out to you. Other ways that you can interact with your professors in addition to in person is by utilizing their office hours. So all professors are required to maintain office hours. Before the pandemic, of course, these would be in-person office hours where you could make an appointment or just walk by, knock on the door, say, hey, professor, and ask questions about what's going on in your class or just kind of more general questions about their field. These days, a lot of professors are having virtual office hours. So you can do kind of like, we have our own platform, but it's basically like Zoom. So you can have a virtual meeting with your professor or a phone call. So office hours are another great way to stay in contact with your professors, to kind of pick their brain and things like that. So thank you so much for that question about interacting with your professors. I really like that question.
Quickly about number of students attending the undergrad programs. I don't think there are any research program though.
Oh, yes, we actually have fantastic undergraduate research programs. So I don't have the exact number available, but for the first question, how many undergraduate students attend SVSU? We have about 8,000 students in total. I think probably roughly 90% of those 8,000 students are undergraduate students, and the remaining roughly 10% are graduate students. We have a fantastic undergraduate research program at SVSU. It's a multi-million-dollar program so that our undergraduate students specifically can take part in research projects, can present at conferences, are working with professors sometimes in publishing papers, even while they are still undergraduate students, which is really unusual. A lot of times at universities, the research opportunities are reserved for the graduate students. But at SVSU, we have so many undergraduate students that we have a lot of research opportunities. And it's not even just for the typical, science fields where you would expect research to be done. You can do research no matter what your major is, whether you're a business student or a graphic design student. There are opportunities for you to apply for funding for research projects. So yes, we definitely have some really great undergraduate research opportunities available.
And quickly to his next question. He has a couple of questions, but very interesting question. Thanks, Suraj, anyway. Excuse me. About 5-year graduation rate?
Yeah, okay. So it's not tracked by 5 years. It's actually tracked by 6 years. But that doesn't mean that you have to graduate in 6 years. Our international students typically graduate faster than American students. And that's because you are probably feeling a bit of pressure from your parents back home who are paying for your studies to say, graduate, graduate, graduate. So in general, our international students do graduate quite a bit more quickly than our American students. We don't, unfortunately, have our numbers broken down by international students versus American students. So although we know that our international students do graduate generally more quickly than our American students, because you are required to be a full-time student, whereas the American students can go part-time if they would like and things like that, the numbers that we have on our website don't accurately reflect international students in general and your graduation rate. But just as kind of a tip to you, no matter what a university's graduation rate is, whether it's 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, it depends on you. So if you're a really dedicated student and you want to graduate in 4 years, it really doesn't matter what the university's graduation rate is for 6 years, because it's up to you. We have international student advisors who can work with you and make sure that you are on track to graduate in 4 years, if that's when you want to graduate. Or if you're thinking, oh, I'd like to maybe have some semesters where I'm not taking so many classes. My parents are fine with me taking 5 years. as long as you're working with our international student advisors and taking the classes that you need to for your program, it doesn't matter what the university's overall graduation rate is. It depends on you and your finances and what type of timeline you're working with. So while in general, it can be kind of a useful point to look at when you're researching universities, I would say that it's more relevant what your plans are, because you can make things happen as long as you are planning well. Some students, if you're an engineering student and you have a lot of math classes to take, you might need to take some of those classes during the summer when you're not required to take classes in order to still graduate in 4 years. So that's why it's always good to keep working with your advisors, whether it's at SVSU or another university, to know what your plan is, how long you want to graduate, and then working kind of backwards from there to make sure that you're taking all the classes that you need to fit within that time frame. Because yes, we certainly understand that you probably have a lot of pressure from your parents to graduate as soon as possible.
And the last question from him, as I see on the screen, like the financial aid package, if I take longer than 4 years period.
Yep, excellent. So this is one that's going to vary, of course, from university to university. At SVSU, as long as you are maintaining your grades, the scholarships that I was talking about, the Red and White Award and the President's International, they are related to how many credit hours you've taken. So just as an example, the university usually requires at least 124 credit hours to graduate for a typical major on our campus. Some programs require more credit hours than that. So your scholarship is actually based on the number of credit hours, so the number of classes that you're taking. So some students will take all of those classes in 4 years. Maybe you might want to take an extra semester or two, so your schedule isn't so packed. Maybe you'll take all those classes within 5 years. But your scholarship is based on when you complete that total number of classes. So it's not so much whether it takes you 4 years or 5 years, it's based on when you finish your degree. So as long as you're maintaining your grades, you're passing your classes, you're doing well, you're not, skipping classes and failing your exams, you'll be able to keep your scholarship so long as you are, again, maintaining your grades and things like that. So it's okay if it takes more than 4 years, as long as you are on track in following your program. If you decide to take a whole bunch of extra classes that are not related to your degree, to add on an extra year, that's going to be a whole different situation. But generally, our students that stay more than 4 years, as long as they're on track with their program, they'll do okay as far as their financial aid package goes.
Great. Thank you, Sir Chetri, for your great questions. And we loved all these questions, and it was about different topics, different areas. And Whitney has answered all this with more details. Hope you got your answers and has been helpful to our viewers today as well. Just want to say hello to our next viewers, Kadamba Burma. Please let us know if you got any questions. Thanks for saying hello as well. All right. And Whitney, now we have new president of the United States, and the world is getting excited. When you talk about the international students community, even ourselves as agents, in Nepal, we all are now gearing up towards the coming intakes for U.S. recruitment. So what is your experience so far during this recent months? Students asking the question about making the queries about your program and universities. What is it like? And then what's your personal let's say expectation from this government in regards to the international students visa flexibility?
Yep, absolutely. So right now we are all very excited. All of us involved in international education here in the United States. We are very pleased with the plans that the new administration has outlined. And I think something that just kind of speaks a lot to the priorities of the new administration is just look at Kamala Harris, for example. Her parents were both international students in the United States. Her dad is from Jamaica. Her mom is from India. So she knows the struggles and the hardships and just the sheer determination that it takes to come to the United States and to be an international student, which she would have learned from her parents. And she's seen how much that they have contributed to the U.S. when they were here, and how that led to, her being vice president of the United States, which is really exciting. So because of that experience that Kamala Harris has had through her parents, we have already seen, well, and not only because of that, just because it's the right thing to do, we have seen a number of positive changes. We've already seen the travel ban that was targeted at a number of countries that had large Muslim populations be rescinded within the first couple of days that President Biden was in office. So we're expecting to see more positive changes like that as well. And so some of the kind of struggles that we're having right now, though, with embassies just starting to reopen, a lot of that, of course, is related to the pandemic. And so we are hoping that as things continue to improve, and countries that will see more embassies and consulates opening up so that students can go for their visa interviews and join us in the United States. We know that this administration is going to be much more welcoming to international students and continually looking to revise policies as needed to make it a smoother process for our international students.
Absolutely. So are we, and we are doing our best to help our students. And of course, Bradford being the name for U.S. recruitment from its beginning, back in 2006, it started with U.S. recruitment, and then now progressed with all the countries, major countries that our students from Nepal and South Asia would like to go to. We have Australia, Canada, the UK, and New Zealand as well. So we have been a global brand in terms of helping the students choosing these destinations. And please feel free to come and visit us. Come and meet with us. Ask our counselors about your study options in any of the countries, dear viewers. And we have got very good session here today. And absolutely, Whitney, who has visited personally. How many times? I believe 4 or 5 times you've been to Nepal already, Whitney.
I think it might be 6 possibly. I'd have to check my passport to count. It's been a little while, but I think it might be close to 6.
Yeah. We can't wait to have you next time there in Nepal in person as well, and organize the session for our students. And let me know, when you have plans to come to Nepal, and I hope that will be sometime soon, if not this fall, maybe for spring. Hopefully things will be coming back to normal as we see the vaccination program, the distribution and around the globe progressing, and here in the United States as well. So that way I think we can expect a lot more happening on our side. Yeah,
absolutely. We're looking forward to that as well.
Yep. And lastly, so what's your message to the students who are interested about joining Saginaw Valley State University, SVSU? How do they apply? What's the process like? How do you, how do they get connected with you and your admission team? Please let us know.
Yep. Yeah, good question. So we would always recommend that international students, the first place that you can start doing research is there's so many great resources online. So once you've identified some schools that you would like to apply to, check everything out online. You can find more information about SVSU online. And then you're welcome to get in contact with Bradford staff, who I'm in touch with directly. They can help you with the entire application process, or you can do the research on your own. Either way works perfectly fine. But Bradford has helped quite a few students from Nepal apply to SVSU, so they're very familiar with our process, but you're always welcome to reach out to me directly as well. You can find our international admissions email address on our website, or it's intadmit@svsu.edu, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you might have directly as well. So thank you so much for everybody who joined in today to this presentation. I hope you learned some useful information.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a pleasure having you today, and I'm sure our viewers enjoyed watching you and receiving all the information regarding the study plans in the U.S. and SVSU Saginaw Valley having all these programs to offer to international students. I believe we're gonna get more application this fall for you, and we'll keep you in the loop.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Whitney, once again, and say hello to everyone at your international office. By the way, is Omar still working? Imran is still working?
He graduated. Yeah, Imran graduated a couple years ago, but he was doing OPT. So he's around. He's still here in the US. He's working hard, like a lot of our other SVSU international students. When they graduate, many of them apply for OPT, optional practical training, which allows students to stay and work in the US, but still be on their student visa. So he's around, but he's graduated. We're sad that he went, but we're happy that he's doing well.
Yeah, I met one of his friends when I visited Florida, University of South Florida last year. 2029 December. And he was talking about his experience at university, Saginaw University, and was we're talking very nice things about the university, and that gives us a lot more confidence about working with you for our international students. And also the girls and some boys who just graduated from Saginaw, they just reached out to me, giving us some thank you note, and that absolutely makes us more proud working for them, working with you, and working for our future students. With that said, thank you so much, Whitney, and you have a safe stay, and have a nice day today. Have a nice and wonderful days ahead.
Thank you so much, and good evening to everybody that's joining us from overseas.
Great. Okay. All right. Talk to you soon, Whitney. Bye. All right, viewers, and that was Miss Whitney from Saginaw Valley State University, Michigan. Very good university, a public university where I've been to many times, and I've got so many students from Nepal who already graduated and now graduating as well. So it will be great to help you as well. Please feel free to reach out to us or just visit us directly and meet with our counselor, and we'd be happy to help you further. All right. And like Whitney just explained to you, there's so many programs with so much scholarship options, and that definitely makes you a happy student, going further. Thank you. Uh, and the next session, that would be tomorrow at the same time, 7:45 p.m. and by Concord University, and we'll have Miss Sean Plancet, the international recruiter, and please join us live tomorrow the same time that you started today, 7:45 p.m. Nepal time. All right. With that said, I'd like to say thank you for joining us today and watching us with your patience, and we'd love to have you tomorrow and next sessions as well. All right. Bye. Take care.